So here's something that I think is very important to touch on, especially for my little sisters. I've told them this before, but I'm going to tell the world as well because I think it's very important. Um, Growing up, I always had a lot of men in my life. My father, my stepfather, my cousin, who I call my brother. I have really close guy friends, so I've always had men involved in my life that always kind of just kept it real with me. And I think that was one of the best things that I could have had going into college, just because um, you're on your own. Like, you just have to figure out how to navigate as a woman in the world, a woman by yourself in the world, and dating. Dating in college is a relative word, honestly, especially your freshman year because everyone's broke. So I don't really know if I could say date. But just like figuring out who you like and trying to figure out relationships with the opposite sex, if that's what you're into. But just figuring out relationships in general. I mention all these men in my life because going into college, a lot of them sat down with me and had conversations with me, and they would give me red flags to watch out for. And believe me, those red flags definitely helped me navigate through college and navigate with men and try to make the best decisions that I could. Granted, I didn't make the best decision every single time, but more times than not, I did. I think one of the funniest but truest things that I got as a piece of advice that I would give someone else is when a boy tells you to come to your room to watch a movie, it's not to watch a movie. Like, it's going to start out that way, but that's not how they want it to end. Let me tell you. Every single time I would decline the invitation just because I knew what watch a movie actually meant. Also, a freshman year, like, there's stipulations with having guests in your room anyway. So a lot of the times we ended up in like the common areas, either downstairs or like in the common areas, like on our floor, but like never in our room. I never got in trouble for being in somebody's room after hours or having someone else in my room after hours. Like, I did not want to take that risk. But I also, like I said, declined invitations to watch a movie with just like one-on-one. If we did, I would invite a friend, or I'd be like, where are we watching it at, or any of those types of things, because it's the same thing every time. Like, I cannot tell you how many times a different dude asked me to do the same thing, and it was like clockwork. Like, I just knew you meet somebody and then y'all would go to the caf together or something, and then later on is, you want to come back to my room and watch a movie. No, I do not. I want to go back to my own room and watch a movie by myself. Decline the invitation. Or if you want that person, like you actually like that person and you actually want to spend time, do it in a common area. Do not do it in a room, because that's how you end up making babies that you don't want. Listen, it's happened before, numerous times. Also, something that me and my best friend learned that I think that was also kind of key in making sure that I stayed out of trouble my freshman year is, if you do decide to go to someone's room, apartment, house, whatever the situation, because at this point you're grown and you can make those decisions as you want, dress in layers. Let me tell you, I would have on like 3 and 4 layers of things. And I know all these things sound silly, like, and it's like, why would you do that? But as a woman, you always want to make sure that you're in control of whatever situation that you can, and you're as comfortable as you can. So I would put on like a sports bra, a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, and then like a jacket over that, and then I would put on like Sophie shorts, basketball shorts, and then sweatpants on top of that. Like I would have like layers and layers. So if you were trying things, you would have to get through multiple layers to get to my skin, and at that point I knew that that like wasn't what I wanted. We had it down to a science, me and my best friend. So like whenever we would leave the house, I'd be like, how many layers do you have on? I think that that helped me stay out of a lot of trouble as well. So that is another gem that I would like to pass on to anyone else. If you decide that you want to go somewhere and you're not ready to take that step, at some point they're just going to get annoyed like that you have on so many layers, and they're going to give up, usually 9 times out of 10. It's worked several times for me. So that's another piece of advice that I would like to give. But also just know your freshman year, you're going to be meeting so many people. Getting into a relationship is probably not the smartest thing. I did towards the end of my freshman year, but it was kind of on accident and wasn't even on purpose. And then on top of that, it was long distance. Granted, it lasted a few years and like it was a really good relationship, but everybody doesn't have that same experience, and it was definitely hard. There was lots of times where like we would take breaks and like break up, and then we would do whatever we wanted at school, and then when we would come back together, like he would be mad that I was dating other people, or I would be mad that he did something with somebody else. Like relationships freshman year just I don't think is a good idea, on top of trying to go into college with a relationship from high school. I think is also not the smartest idea. I think trying to go to school with someone that you had a relationship with in high school and y'all are trying to go to college together and stay in a relationship is also not that smart as well. I'm sorry, Jalen. I know that's kind of what you have in your brain, but it very rarely works out, and you're still figuring out who you are as a person. But like definitely see all the fish that are in the sea. Like that's how you're going to figure out what you like, what you don't like, how you want to be treated, how you want to treat your partner. Like this is the time to start figuring all that stuff out. I definitely thought going into college that I would have been like married with kids at this point in my life. I turned 30 in February, and I feel like I'm just now starting to figure it out on like all aspects of life. If my mom had it her way, I would probably have a grandbaby on the way at this point, but I'm not even there. I'm like, give me 4 or 5 years and then maybe I'll think about it. So I mean, just know that you have all of these years to just figure out who you are and to date and to learn what you want, but just be mindful and aware. Not only like just when it comes to dating, but just like of your surroundings.